Hello, freak bitches.
It's like there's no respect for like what we have, how much different, how much higher a standard of living we live than the vast, than most humans that are alive today, and the vast majority of humans who have ever existed. Right. I mean, it's like I get this from a Jordan Peterson lecture, but he said it was in 1895. The average American lived on $1 a day, adjusted for modern inflation. So in 1895, it's like Central Asia level poverty in America. And that's just everyone before that. Living in back-breaking poverty was like just life. That was just all of life. And it's like we figured something out in these last less than 200 years. We figured something, or a little more than 200 years. We figured something out. Wait, what am I saying? No. Less than 200 years. We figured something out in this industrial revolution that now lets us live up here on this. And it's like we can lose that.
And a lot of it had to do with freedom.
But the whole thing to me is freedom. The whole thing is that we embrace. Look, if you look in the year, you had on your show Thaddeus Russell, who's great. I just did his podcast recently, and he put it this way, where he goes, in the year 1800, because I was talking about what an incredible thing the 19th century was and how it transformed humanity. And he goes, in the year 1800, Americans are all making their own clothes. In the year 1900, Americans are shopping at Macy's. Yeah, if you had said in the year 1845 and been like, dude, in the next 65 years, slavery is going to be abolished in the West and we're going to have an industrial revolution. It's like magic happened. And that's why we live the way we live today. And no one is even interested in that story. Right. Like, why do we have this much wealth? Right. And I like what you said, I think it's all about freedom.
And when you have a guy like Bernie Sanders who harps on and on about income inequality, I have a real issue with that because it's one of those blanket statements that sounds really good at a campaign speech, but freedom itself breeds income inequality.
Yes.
Because freedom means you can do whatever you want. You can do very little, or you could work like a maniac. Well, if you're going to work like if here's the game, okay? You do something, for that something, you get currency, you use that currency to buy things, or to make sure you don't have to work again, buy food and goods and take trips and travel. The more you work, the more you decide that you want to pursue something, the more chances you have to acquire that currency if you do it correctly. That is income inequality due to freedom. I mean, take away all the other factors that might be, in play, whether it's racial discrimination or sexual discrimination. I'm not denying that those things exist. But what I am saying is that the idea that you are going to have income equality in a capitalist society where anybody can do whatever they want, people, that is so counter to what we know about human behavior.
I agree.
You're talking about a fantasy person who doesn't exist, who has motivations outside of wealth, outside of, most people want some sort of reward for what they do. And if everybody gets the same amount, there's no fucking reward for working extra hard.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
not going to. Well, you're not going to get Microsoft. You're not going to get IBM.
And
you're
it's
not going to get
just.
Apple.
I mean, it's not just. I mean, they talk about fairness a lot, which is a strange concept. But it's not just that somebody works twice as hard and doesn't get more. I mean, that's not the right thing to do. Anyway, but like what you were saying, and I just think it's like they use the term so much. But what's misleading about it? You're absolutely right that freedom breeds inequality. But what's misleading about it is by that people think like the poor get poorer. No. And that is objectively false, demonstrably false. It's not they make it out like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, like that old saying, but it's like that, if you think it through, like that can't really continue like that.
You're always going to have
but the poor get
you're always
richer.
going to have rich, but if the poor work hard and figure they have a possibility to escape whatever economic situation they're in, it is possible with freedom.
And homeless people here live better than rich people in third world countries, or certainly at least better than average people in third world countries. So it's like, it's not just that the inequality grows, it's like everything moves up and the inequality grows up here. This is like what I can't understand. And again, it's like what I was saying before, like if you have any concept of the fact that we're by far the richest, freest human beings who have ever existed in recorded human history, at least recorded human history, who knows what was going on in ancient Egypt, but like, or before ancient Egypt, but if you realize that we have this incredible amount, then it's like, it's like just being like, oh, we need all of these policies to like give handouts to poor people. It's like, well, actually, let's continue this train of getting richer and richer and richer. which is not at all, you know, like what people like Bernie Sanders, man. It's like,
well, it's a hustle. Bernie's got a hustle going on.
Yeah,
and
he's
you
full
find out
of
it's
shit.
a hustle. You find out it's a hustle when you find out he's got a bunch of houses.
Yep.
And his wife tried to buy up all this fucking land to expand a university that she was running, and she killed the whole fucking school. Like, you got greedy.
How about the fact that the motherfucker, and we haven't seen, so first off, he made $1 million off a book on how it's wrong to be a millionaire. I mean, it's like, how are you not, how can anyone look at you like as a serious leader when you did that?
Well,
Second
he's
off,
saying what people want to hear, and there is some truth to some of the things that he's saying. I think that the world would be a better place if we had more social programs in place. I think the world would be a better place if colleges were free. If we,
I think, I mean, I don't disagree with like the thought behind that. I think that all of these things would be better suited in voluntary arrangements than some forced government monopoly. But I do agree with you that, like, sure, I'd like great schools to be very affordable or
Yes.
free if possible. I'd like everyone to be, and Bernie Sanders certainly addressed some very real problems.
Yeah.
Like, he would point things out that were very real. Like, he would be like, you know, they claim it's a great recovery, but, you know, 90% of the new wealth has gone to the top 3%. You know, like, he'd have some
sound
points.
like Jackie Mason.
I only do
got a
one.
guy. He's got a thing.
One New
He's a
York
guy.
Jew, and that has to apply to every New York Jew who's out there. But like I do, so like there is some, and I don't care if Bernie Sanders makes $1 million, but there's something like, number one, making $1 million while claiming it's kind of a moral issue that some people have so much while others have so little. Endorsing Hillary Clinton. I mean, I just don't know how you can look at the guy who goes, the problem is income inequality and these and the banking, you know, cartel, but I'm going to vote for the candidate of the big banks. Like, to me, that's insane. It would be if Ron Paul endorsed McCain.
Well, don't you think the big banks sort of were on both teams?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they were on Trump's team, but they've certainly been on every other team
But they
besides
are
that.
now.
Yeah. Now
Most
they are.
certainly.
Oh yeah.
You know? I mean,
absolutely.
I think. God,
It's not even
hard
like
to
the
say.
teams. They run the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve. Like, they run the whole system.
But the fact that Bernie Sanders never had like a fiery speech about what happened at the DNC, about how they literally conspired to ruin him and to take him out of the race with Hillary, because the DNC wanted Hillary to be the candidate.